Showtime! Halloween candy time. We could have used like a pumpkin spice flavor, but unfortunately we don't have that in our range. We went for orange. Pouring time. That orange flavor immediately fills up the room.
Visual texture as well, because it's so foamy. So we're gonna make a classic scary jack-o'-lantern. So the inside will be made out of black cutout eyes.
We'll add some citric acid, which we will stretch afterwards on the pulling machine.
Straightforward, the orange.
And there we go.
So there's no actual white in this one?
We won't be using white, no.
Okay.
We'll,
but you can pull any colored piece of sugar, yes.
Our Halloween mix is probably one of the funnest mixes that we make.
And that's the part that will make up the inside, because you don't want to have citric acid on the outside layer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Citric acid tends to make the sugar very sticky.
Yep. Out goes the black. Drippy, drippy.
Still very liquid and hot inside.
Yeah, it's also the fourth batch of the day. So that means the table's been heating up quite a bit. Whoops. Now for the rest of the batch, just a little bit more for the outside. And I think a little bit more black.
Just to be sure.
Yeah, that'll do. And then for the part with the citric acid mixed in, and that's about 50-50 at the moment, which is exactly what we need for this design.
It's time for our very first pumpkin fact. It actually is not a vegetable, but a fruit. And that's due to the fact that it has seeds.
So cucumbers are fruit as well.
I think you. On average, they contain 500 seeds per pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know? Yeah, we'll see. By each revolution, the color will go lighter and lighter, and the texture will change as well.
It will be, it looks fluffy, but it will be hard in the end. But it will be very airy.
Airy and more fluffy than the not pulled part.
And that, of course, will give you a completely different mouthfeel and actually sometimes a different flavor sensation.
Yep.
And that's due to the fact that the millions of tiny air bubbles will enhance the flavor.
Nothing happened to the color, it's just air that has been added to this part. And in the meanwhile, I see Ilse has already divided the black.
So this will be the face of the pumpkin.
Yeah.
But the very first time the word pumpkin was used was actually in a fairy tale. Could you guess which fairy tale helped to popularize the pumpkin?
I would say definitely Disney.
Well, Disney, of course, made their version of it.
Is it Cinderella?
Yes. Cinderella was the very first written source of the word pumpkin.
Okay.
Before the word pumpkin got into play, it was actually, they were known as gros melons, which is French for big lemons. No giggling in the back there.
Lemons or melons?
Melons.
Oh.
Yes, so it was a pompillon or gros melon, big melons.
Big melons.
And just
wouldn't...
around the time of the year 1500-ish, the fairy tale of Cinderella was written down, and there the first use of the word pumpkin was used.
I wouldn't link the flavor of pumpkin to melons, but hey.
I think it looked like a big melon. It's funny you say that you wouldn't link the flavor, because one of the most popular items sold this time of year is the pumpkin spice whatever. And that
pumpkin spice, whatever.
Yeah, you have pumpkin spice lattes, you have pumpkin spice pies.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually is a little misconception, because there's no pumpkin in there, but it actually is the spices that give the pumpkin its flavor.
It's what we call, or what we can refer to as spéculoos.
Yeah, it's a mixture of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. Here in the lowlands in Europe, we know something that's very similar, and that's called spéculoos or spéculoos, depending on the region where you're from. And that's sometimes enriched with some coriander or other flavors, but it's a similar flavor.
I think I'll start with assembling the first piece, and that'll be the nose. The parts needed to assemble the nose are ready, just at the right consistency. It's always easier if you can connect some stuff and have them lay down together. So the nose, make like a square shape of this one.
So by adding two triangles to the other triangle, you actually get a sort of a rectangle shape.
This also lets us rest the triangle and keep it into shape, and have it on the heated table or the cold table at different angles.
So this black piece is actually, in a way, protected by the orange pieces.
And this will be the bottom side of the nose.
Yeah, so it's
I'll
the
just leave
tippy side up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave it at the side of the table.
There's more than 45 different varieties of pumpkin, and they come in all sorts and shapes, just like us.
Nice.
And just like us, they all float. Because pumpkin is made out of 90% of water. Annually held races for biggest boats that you can row in a pumpkin, or the fastest time to row a pumpkin over a certain course, and I'll let you guess what the world record of pumpkin rowing is, and that was in over a distance of 100 meters, roughly 100 yards.
So the question was, what the fastest time?
Yes, so the world record time of pumpkin rowing.
What actually does that mean?
It is pretty fast.
Rowing a pumpkin, I would say, is it miles an hour or?
It's well, actually,
an hour?
it's the time. So what time?
Ah, the time.
It would have taken to paddle a pumpkin down a 100-meter track.
We
have one set of eyes, two eyes,
and those will be connected right now by this orange piece that goes in the middle.
It looks scary already.
It was meant to be scary. So we have that.
Shall we name this one?
We can. What would you call a pumpkin?
I don't know. I know people call their pumpkins, give their pumpkins names. I actually happen to know that the biggest pumpkin ever grown was called Michael Jordan, as a reference to Michael Jordan's iconic shirt number. That was 23, and that record's pumpkin was grown in the year 2023. And that was grown in America, in the United States of America, of course.
Well, what do you know?
With a whopping weight of 1,246 kilogram, or roughly 2,700 pounds for one single pumpkin. That's about as many pieces of candy we can make out of this batch.
Just checking out, this is the bottom side of the ice, so it needs to go there.
So you're building the image from the inside out.
Yes.
Starting with the nose and the eyes, the mouth goes underneath.
And set this
So
side.
this was cooled down to stay in shape while the other pieces are being made. This one doesn't deform.
Yep, I think that'll do. Yes. And now I'm going to stretch this part, cut it in two.
So you're making one piece, cut it in two.
Cut it in two.
That way.
We use this method often when we need similar pieces. Just make one big piece. Yeah, and then I think we can continue. So Ilse has already made the black parts to go in between. I'll just call them teeth. They're not teeth, they're cutouts. They look like teeth in the...
They represent teeth.
And that'll be our mouth.
So it's like a smile upside down, as seen from here, but you can definitely see the half crescent shape.
Yep.
That's already taking form. With those orange fangs. She also has a nose in front of her and she's holding the eyes. Elke has some pieces that will go next to the nose or above the mouth.
start with the eyes and go further from there on.
So a little piece that goes on underneath the nose, facing the mouth. And the mouth will bend around those pieces of orange to give it that distinct grin.
We'll put this on top of his head. So the most important part has been done.
It looks terrifying from this angle.
It is.
Which was the look we were going for, I know, but still. Fits like a glove.
And after this one, we'll have about 12 kilos of pumpkin candy.
That's a lot. And it will be sold mostly in the month of October, just like most pumpkins are sold in the United States during the October month. Actually, they grow about 1.5 billion pounds of pumpkin a year. That's a lot. Even more, they actually sell about 80% of it in just 1 month. And there you have it. One big roll of scary pumpkin candy. And then we'll reveal the other designs later on. To get
But
it it's
not quite there yet.
It's a little bit deformed due to the stretching of the offcut. The big roll of candy will gradually come into a more tapered shape and will diminish in size. But since we're doing this gradually, the image will stay the same on the inside, and you'll get the image that runs through the whole log. So also in every little piece of candy eventually. Yeah, he looks kind of angry to me.
Never really sure how he looks like until he's been cut up into the smaller pieces.
Down to the very last bit.
That is that for our pumpkin.
Is this a piece that you can still use? You can see it's a little bit deformed already.
Ja. Dat mag eigenlijk alle 6 centimeter matjes mogen nog verstrekt worden.
They come in all sizes and shapes. This one actually has a black eye. And this one Jeff has a... I'll show you the funny one. It actually has a crooked nose or some wonky eyes.
We have some pumpkins trying to be clowns as well. We have pumpkin clowns.
It reminds me a little bit of, I think it's called Skeletor from the 80s series He-Man.
Yeah, final results. That's our pumpkin.